Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the railway and welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be looking at some slightly more modern rolling stock than what I usually cover, and this time it is from Dapol. Today's prototype dates back to the late 1980s and I've heard great things about the models, so today I'm going to be looking at the JHA hoppers. I've actually got two of these. This is a middle hopper and I've also got an end hopper. And I'm not 100% sure what the differences are between the middle and end hoppers. I do know that there are differences between the two couplings on these models, but besides that I'm interested to see what the differences are. Can you tell the difference looking at the front of the boxes? So far they do seem quite similar. There is, however, quite a big difference between the prices of these two. So the end hoppers are around £10 more expensive than the middle hoppers. And again, that's quite surprising given how similar these models look. So it might be that the end hoppers perhaps have more complexity to them that I haven't seen yet. Or maybe it's just a demand thing because obviously the end hoppers, you're only going to need two of those per rake. You're probably going to be buying a lot more of the middle hoppers. But again, in order for that to be considered a good reason for the higher price rather than just an excuse, you would expect to see some differences between the end hopper and the middle hopper besides just the couplings. So that should be pretty interesting. You do need to take note, by the way, of the middle and end hoppers because in real life the middle hoppers had different couplings to the end hoppers. This is maybe a little confusing, but Dapol have modelled those differences, so you do need to at least have, I think, one end hopper in order to couple up these hoppers to other rolling stock that has tension lock couplings. At the moment, I'm not sure whether the couplings are exchangeable across all of the models. If they are, then that might make things a bit easier. Anyway, let's move on. So Dapol's models are known for their great value for money, particularly these days. And yet, the price of these hoppers does seem to be quite expensive. So on Hattons, for instance, a middle hopper will set you back £41.71, and the outer hoppers are £51, and the RRPs from Dapol for these models respectively are £49.99 and £60. So there might be a reason why these are more expensive than you'd normally expect to see from Dapol, and I think feeling the weight of these boxes, I can guess what one of those reasons might be, because these are incredibly heavy models, very seriously. Yeah, these are about the weight of a locomotive almost, very, very heavy. So it's going to be really interesting, a lot of questions to answer on these models. Let's get started and see what they're like. And if you are interested in picking up some of these hoppers for yourself, I will include an affiliate link down in the description for them. Dapol have produced quite a good number really of different variations of these, so you should be able to build up a fairly decent sized rake if you'd like to. But I've just got two today, so let's start taking a look. We'll look at this one first. I believe this is probably the end hopper. Let me show you the end of the box. So the one I have here is 4F-050-001. It is an O&K JHA end hopper, yes, Foster and Yeoman livery 19303 early. So there's nothing more to do except to get this out and take my first look. Really interested to see where all that weight is coming from. Is there a die-cast chassis on here? Is it just loads of sort of weights taped to the inside of the model? Or, I mean, this is Dapol, so screwed to the insides of the model because they tend to do things a bit more properly. We've got an accessories bag, but first let's have a look at the instructions. Unusual to see instructions with a wagon, so let's take a look. So this is a surprise. I'm seeing a section about DCC fitting and mention of tail lamps. So is it that the end hoppers have tail lamps in them? That could definitely explain the increase in price. And it looks as though to fit a decoder you have to remove the bogies, then remove one of the sides of the hoppers, and then according to the diagram there is a 6-pin socket hidden inside the hoppers. So that is very, very interesting. And then on the back, what have we got? Wagon types. I think this is more specific on the differences. So it says as a minimum, you've got to have at least one outer wagon, which you can then couple up to middle wagons. This explains that the middle wagons have just knuckle couplings fitted to them, and I believe the end wagons have a tension lock on one end as a representation of a standard coupling, and then the knuckle coupling on the other end to couple up to a middle wagon. Hopefully that makes sense. And then here we've got the info on the accessories. So it says you can use a small dab of glue to apply the air pipes. So that's one of the items in the bag. And the dummy hook and screw couplings. Right, so that's a great sign, isn't it? And then you've got a little bit about the tail lamps and such. So let's have a look then at these accessories bags. Wow, okay, so highly painted details. You have got the pipes for the buffer beam there, and yes, indeed, some pivoting screw-link couplings. So that's a great inclusion, isn't it? So expensive wagons, but already we're starting to see a lot of premium features here. Obviously, you know, an LED in the back isn't ever going to increase the price by £10, but it's a bit more than just an LED. They've got to put pickups in to actually get power on board, and they've also got to include things like the DCC socket and all the engineering for the wiring. So it is more than just an LED, I suppose. That could have been confusing. A bit different on a loco, of course, because all of the pickups and such are always installed anyway. But yeah, for the piece of rolling stock, it's quite a serious upgrade, isn't it? Right, peeling back. All right, so the first thing you get a sense of really is the complexity of the livery. There is quite a lot of print work on here, isn't there? Definitely. And the detailing looks pretty decent from the outside. So let's see if I can get this out. How's best to do it? I think I'll pull it out with this plastic sleeve. Oh, blimey. All right, so this is ridiculously heavy. Unbelievably heavy. I think this here might be the heaviest rolling stock I have ever owned. This is just unbelievably heavy and sturdy, and there's a lot of metal to it as well. A lot of the interior of the hopper is all metal, and you can't really tell from the outside of the box, but there is quite a bit of interior detail here, which is awesome. And all these areas of corrugated textured metal, that's all die cast. And I believe the chassis on the underside is all metal as well. So that's amazing. I can see that there are proper bearings on the wheels here. That's an amazing feature. Those might just be there for picking up power, so I will be interested to see whether the middle hopper that I've got has also got those bearings. But yeah, those bearings are probably needed given how heavy this hopper is, because there could be a lot of drag otherwise. So yeah, that is seriously very, very cool. There's obviously a lot of detail to them, and I can't wait to see the lights in action later on. So let me put this safe to one side, and we'll take hopefully a briefer look at one of the middle hoppers that I've got. All right, middle hopper. So let me show you which I've got, end of the box. So this one is 4F-050-102. And again, this is an O&K JHA middle hopper this time. Foster Yeoman number 19337. And again, this is early, so hopefully it will match. Right, let's pull this out and see what we've got in here. Ah, this is going to be really interesting, isn't it? So, interestingly, no instructions this time, so it's only the end hoppers that get instructions. It's funny though, because the instructions explain that you need at least one end hopper and a middle hopper, but if you didn't know that and you just bought a middle hopper, you wouldn't actually find that out until it was too late, would you? So yeah, it's quite amusing, I suppose. Accessories pack, no screw link couplings this time, we've just got the pipes, but that makes sense because in real life the middle hoppers used knuckle couplings only and not screw links, and of course those are going to be fitted to the loco. So let's take a look at this. Let's pull it out. So it looks pretty similar from the outside. It's similar in its weight, yeah, that's for sure, very much so. But as you can see, this one just has the knuckle couplers, and unfortunately these are not fitted into the NEM pockets on the bogies, but it does seem as though the couplings themselves are actually fitted into another NEM pocket, which is underneath the bogie, so that's very interesting. Anyway, yes, this wagon still has proper bearings on the axles, so that is consistent across all of the wagons, I assume. Great quality feature, very, very good work from Dapol there. And the level of detail obviously seems to be more or less similar. So I'm going to give you a bit of history on these wagons in real life, and then we'll take a much closer look at these and see what they've got to offer in terms of detail. The JHA hopper wagons were introduced in the mid to late 1980s, specifically to be hauled by the Class 59s, which were introduced around that sort of time. They were built by O&K and produced in their hundreds in order to transport aggregates and minerals for industrial use. Today, all of the hoppers remain in service, except now they're operating under the Mendip Rail operator, who is an independent railway company whose roots can be traced back to Foster Yeoman, who originally commissioned the JHAs. Wow, these models are absolutely tremendous. I will be honest, when I bought these at, £40 to £50, I thought that was very, very expensive for what these were going to be. I expected them to be similar in detail, quality and features to the, let's say, the silver bullet tankers that I looked at from Dapol, and also the telescopic hood wagons. They were okay, but they were not that great. In truth though, these are far, far beyond those wagons. There is a lot more to them, to the point where I'm not thinking that these are overpriced or expensive anymore. I think they are actually fantastic value for money, as usual from Dapol. The difference in price between the middle and outer hoppers also makes perfect sense now. They've got all that extra electronics on board for the lighting, which I think is a great feature. I mean, that tail lamp, what a cool feature that is. And there are also differences between the two versions of the model as well. The main one being these buffers, which are fitted to the end hopper, and these are sprung buffers. So it's just every possible feature these could have, they've got. And I think that justifies the price. The buffers are just made of plastic though, by the way, but at least they're sprung. The other absolutely outstanding aspect of these models is the weight. You will not believe how much these weigh. So the end hopper weighs in at 266 grams, and the middle hopper isn't far behind at 263 grams. Now, I don't want to sound hypocritical here, because I am a massive fan of good weighty models, but I do think this weight is so good to the point that it is a little bit excessive. I think with weight, you do reach a point of diminishing returns, and particularly with rolling stock, which doesn't actually have to be that heavy. It's got to be heavy enough to actually be stable on the track, but it doesn't have to be heavy for reasons of tractive effort or anything like that. And so, particularly with rolling stock, you do reach a point of negative returns. At 266 grams, that is the equivalent to this many Oxford Rail open wagons at 22 grams each. 12 of them. One hopper equals 12 open wagons. So that means to put a big rake of these together, let's say 10 of these, which doesn't seem like that many, you would be reaching the equivalent of 120 regular open wagons. Any locomotive, no matter how powerful, is going to struggle with this. Might be interesting on the straight. Obviously there'll be some interesting physical dynamics as such heavy wagons run along, but up inclines, that is just going to kill locomotives. And of course the extra material involved in making these so heavy, 266 grams, that will have increased the price to the customer as well. So I love weighty models, though I do think these could be a little over the top. Let's take a look at some of the detailing then, because the decoration is great, as you can see. So you've got the large Yeoman lettering and also the logo on the right hand side there. I'll be honest, the decoration looks great and the finish is pretty good as well. Nice satin finish there. There is all kinds of different printing on here. It looks very good and clean. Obviously, if you wanted absolute realism, a bit of weathering here would be absolutely essential, because it does look almost artificially clean, doesn't it? But still, the printing and the quality of the printing is all absolutely excellent. Even the bogies have little bits of printed detailing on them. What was that? It says 2000 millimeters. I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to. The bogie detail itself is reasonably basic, I suppose, but it does the job. You know, it looks reasonably convincing, and we have got proper metal wheels fitted to these models too, which kind of goes without saying. In terms of separately fitted details and other moulded details, there's quite a lot going on here as well. You've got small separately fitted turning wheels, which I think look fairly fine. On the ends, you've got these railings, which are all made of wire and metal. Some of these were a little bit wonky, but I've just sort of touched them back into place. It's not like they're fixed in the wrong position or anything. All of this frame here is made of metal, and you've got these etched walkways which look amazing. I believe these are etched on the end as well. You already know that this corrugated section here on the end, that is metal. Little ladder as well, which is a nice and fine piece. Very, very impressive and quite sturdy as well. Even down to the finest of the handrails, very good and sturdy. The interior is quite impressive as well. I mean, I was not necessarily expecting this level of interior detail, but they do look great inside and out, which is awesome. And then on the underframe, you've even got what I assume is some sort of locking mechanism for the doors, for the hopper doors on the bottom. And those doors are also fully detailed on the base of the model too, which is just awesome to see. And I guess I'll give you a close look at one of the knuckle couplers. This is the middle hopper we're looking at now. These look very similar to the Bachmann Easy Mate couplings. I guess they're based on KDs, although I think they are plastic and not metal. So these are extreme wagons, aren't they? They're extreme in their quality for the most part. The amount of metal and die cast on these is incredible. There were one or two wonky parts, like I say. One or two of the buffers you might have noticed earlier on was a little bit on the wonk as well, but these parts were not sort of fixed permanently into wonky positions. I was just able to sort of move them into position, so it's not a big deal. It's not like they're fixed permanently into the wrong place. They look wonderful. They really do look wonderful. Too heavy, I think. Yeah, definitely too heavy. But we'll see whether that affects performance or not. So they do at least have the proper bearings on the axles, so I guess they should be free rolling, but let's find out whether that is the case. So here is my setup. I've got the two JHA hoppers down onto the track ready to go, not coupled yet, and I do actually have a Class 59 in the Yeoman livery, which is absolutely perfect, except this is quite an old Lima loco, so it's not up to modern standards in terms of performance, and it does have the old larger tension lock coupling, which might not work perfectly well with the modern slim tension locks that are on the hoppers, so if it causes derailments we might have to change it. One question I want to preemptively answer is, are the knuckle couplers at the right height to couple to an American piece of rolling stock or something else with a knuckle coupler like that? Unfortunately, no. Yeah, as you can see, the knuckle couplers are at completely the wrong height to do that. No criticism of Dapol, of course. Clearly, the knuckle couplers on these JHAs are just at a different height to what they would be on an American loco. It is a pity, though, because this one would have been a great conversion wagon, so that I could convert the knuckle coupler to the tension lock to run American locos with British rolling stock and vice versa. But no, that's not to be. The good news is the knuckle couplers are NEM mounted, they actually are NEM, so if you can get them out, then possibly you could create a converter car with them, but they're not easy to get out, so you would have to take the body apart first, I think, so not ideal. Anyway, marvellously free rolling. Look at this, they've got the bearings on the axles. Interesting wheels because obviously they pick up power through the axles. The centre of the axle has to be plastic, which is not a feature I'm keen on, but I guess it kind of makes sense here, and obviously they're still nice and free. And in terms of the Gordon's Hill rolling test, very, very good results. The end hopper went all the way down and got right to the bottom curve, which is quite unusual. So obviously those bearings combined with the extra momentum as a result of the weight have done these proud. And the middle hopper, a little bit lighter of course, didn't get quite as far but still did extremely well. So no complaints at all on how free rolling these are. So let's see about the coupling then. I've actually not coupled these together yet, but they couple nicely. And very realistically, I mean, I do want to recognise that Dapol have taken the accuracy of the real-life couplings into account and reproduced them on the model. Quite a complicated thing to have worked out, I assume, but no, they've gone together very nicely, and the knuckle couplers are kinematic, so they should be okay on curves. Let's see about my Class 59. Does it even work? Yeah, it works. Right, let's couple then. Not bad actually, is it? It's quite a smooth performance. Not a good coupling though. Let's try again. If this, I'll warn you, if this ends badly, I'm going to put something more modern on, even though it won't match in livery. But it does look cool. In fact, I wish I had more of the hoppers now, because this would have made a really cool train, wouldn't it? But still, let's take them around the track. Let's see how they work. So it's only 2 hoppers, but don't forget, if these were open wagons, there would be 24 wagons coupled up here in terms of weight. Second radius. Absolutely perfect. Look at that. So that's the worst bit of track. If they pass that okay, they should be alright on the rest of the track. And it is looking as though that is the case. So, what have we got here? We've got very reasonably priced wagons for what you get. Pretty good quality, an extreme level of detail, features that you could never have dreamt of, quite frankly, and also top-notch performance. Absolutely wonderful. One thing I have forgotten to look at is the tail light. I've not even looked to see if it's working, so let's go and grab a close-up on that, see if it is. Okay, we're going to find out together. Applying power now. Oh, Dapol, Dapol, Dapol. Honestly, I have found fault with some of their models. That's true. But they are the manufacturer that wows me the most these days. I did not think they would have the flashing on there. I definitely didn't, but they do. Look at that. This is on analog, folks. Flashing as well, as it should be. That is awesome. And in the other direction, yeah, still flashes. Let's knock it down to 50. That's 50 power. How low does it work down to? 20? Still works down at 20 power. Same brightness. Clever folks, aren't they? Real clever folks at Dapol. There we go, it stopped at 10. Oh, well done, Dapol. What a fantastic product. It was just such a silly little thing, isn't it? But it makes such a big difference to me. It's so impressive. It's the kind of thing I love in a model. Right, let's carry on. Right, points test then. Let's verify their stability, even over the nastiest of points. Off we go. Wow, and with that big fat tension lock coupling as well. Impressive. They have just uncoupled though. That's strange. So, tight curves, second radius curves, do they uncouple? That's a bit of a weird one. Let's see if they do it again going forwards. Okay, so while they're under tension, that's not happening. But yeah, if you're reversing them and they're sort of pushing against each other, they might uncouple over tighter curves. All right, fair enough. I don't think I'll knock them down for that. It's not a big deal. Yeah, there we go. Just done it again on the third radius there. Yeah, so actually that's not great, is it? It's not brilliant. I mean, are they supposed to do that? I don't think so. But yeah, if you're pushing along like this, it's not done it that time. So why did it do it then? That's weird. It's not doing it now. Let's try it one more time. Oh, interesting. Was it because I did it slowly then? Slow. And a gradual stop. Yeah. So if you're too gradual with them, they'll uncouple. That's very, very, very strange. Let's verify that. Sudden stop, they stay coupled. Gradual stop, they uncouple. Alright, so that's not great. Yeah, unfortunately, that is a bit of a problem, isn't it? Sort of. I don't know. Let me know how important you think that is. Let's have some ratings then on the Dapol JHA wagons. I am sold. That's it, that's all there is to it. I am 100% sold on these. Level of detail, got to be 5-star. Masses of detail, wire, etched metal detailings, sprung buffers where applicable. They've even gone to town to get the realistic couplings on there. Super good decoration, very, very good precise decoration. And if all of this wasn't enough, you've got that flashing lamp, the tail lamp on the back. Just a beautiful feature, fantastic wagons, so much love and thought put into the design of these, very much sold on the level of detail. Performance is pretty much spot on, but there are two minor things that let this down enough, I think, to knock off a star. That is the weight, very excessive weight, I think, to the point where they don't need to be as heavy as they are. And also, if you're reversing around a curve, they do have a tendency to uncouple, which can be quite annoying. And if you've got a bigger rake of these and you're looking to do some serious layout operating, yeah, parking the wagons in a specific spot or whatever could be a little bit difficult if it involves reversing of any kind at a realistic speed. But overall, yeah, absolutely fine. They're nice and free rolling. The couplings work as they should, except for that one issue. No other issues at all with derailing. The quality then is really great. So much die cast on these wagons, more than there needs to be, quite frankly, because the weight is fantastic. The decoration is good and precise, as I've already said, and most of the separately fitted parts are applied very good and carefully. There were one or two wonky details though. Some of the wire handrails and also the buffers weren't 100%, and I think if they had have been better, then I would have been able to give this 5 on quality. Value for money then, the RRP £49.99 or £60, or from the retailers, links below by the way, affiliate ones, £41.71 for the middle hopper and £51 for the outer hoppers. Seems quite expensive and it's not bargain territory, but frankly for what you get here, it's a good price. You've got to admit it's a good price if expensive. But I have given it 4.5 stars because I just wish they were a little bit lighter and a little bit cheaper. There's a lot of material gone into these wagons, and even if they were half the weight, they would still be incredibly heavy wagons. So for the first time ever, I'm saying I wish there was a little less die cast on these so that the weight was a little bit more normal, so that the locos would have an easier job hauling them, and so that they could be a little bit cheaper. Even if they were 5 to 10% cheaper, something like that, it would have made a big difference. But still, value for money for what you get is decent. Overall then, that is 9.25 out of 10. It's a very good score, isn't it? Very strong score. Into the ranking, and of course, yes, this is top, above the Bachmann Blacksmith car. Why? Because it ticks all of the boxes. It's very, very impressive and innovative in the way that it's designed, and to top it all off, these hoppers don't seem to cost more than they ought to. So overall, it just does well in every category, and I'm very happy to be able to reward Dapol for doing that. So there you have it then folks, absolutely phenomenal. One of the models that makes recent Dapol one of my favourite manufacturers. It's just such a solid product, isn't it? Every aspect of it is decent to impressive, somewhere along that spectrum, and they just work exactly as they should, more or less, and they look amazing as well. So if you don't mind the slightly high price, you do get what you pay for, definitely, but they are expensive, then I can't recommend these enough. Absolutely fantastic. If this is what you're after, look no further. Look no further. So let me know what you think. Have you got some of these? Are you pleased with them? Have you enjoyed running them? What do you think about the value? Do let me know any of your thoughts down below. For now though, I will leave this video here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Alright, cheers everybody. And well done Dapol. You really are the Dapol of my eye now.